It's nice to see you.
Mutual.
I've been thinking about paranoia, in particular, just in the way that we relate to each other. And I've noticed just how easy it is through ambiguity or, just the way the ego is to really trigger that in the other. Not that that's my aim, but it's something to kind of be cautious of. It's interesting the way you described the loss of the master signifier and the name of the Father as kind of being responsible for, let's say, whatever lack is there gets covered over by money, and you take that away, and it seems like paranoia is what's directly underneath. So I'm wondering if paranoia is just inherent because the ego is split, or if it comes from a guilty conscience, or are there different kinds of paranoia?
Okay, good question. Let me start with Lacan's theory about this, because he did a whole seminar on anxiety, which included paranoia, because they are clearly linked. And his focus was on the loss of the master signifier of gender, the phallus, as it were, the signifier that gave stability and understanding what it meant to be a man or a woman, and how you relate to one another, and how two people create a life together, etc. That this was all destroyed with feminism and women working. Now they have their own dollars. So the men and women are no longer complementary, but are competitive. And so for the first time, there's mimetic rivalry and envy between men and women, rather than creating a relationship that's an oasis away from the mimetic rivalry of the political world of the traditional male society, right? So that destabilization created a situation in which the ego is never sure how the other, especially in an intimate relationship, let's say, is perceiving you or what they want from you, right? And he used this example of the praying mantis. And when the two praying mantises are copulating, the female bites off the head of the male at that moment of consummation, I call it. And so the anxiety, he said, was that you don't know if the other is going to rip off your head and eat it, right? Or something else and eat it, or whatever. But it was that anxiety of not knowing who you are to the other, right? And so in a certain way, that's now writ large, because who are you if you don't have the money and the status and all the things that gave one a sense of stature and protection? And the question is, if one is considered by the other, let's say, a prey animal rather than the predator that one wanted to be in the capitalist system, right? And that shift of not knowing if you're predator or prey, right? And whether you're going to, whether any situation might turn into a fight, right? Literally or argumentatively, whatever, creates a kind of paranoia of fear of putting oneself out there in any way, right? Or else, the opposite one can do is by putting oneself out there very judgmentally and trying to one-up the other before they can one-up you. Whatever is your strategy for dealing with mimetic rivalry, but it always leads to an accelerated friction between people, right? And internally as well. So I think that paranoia is embedded in the ego because of the increased uncertainty of the stability of the family system. because it used to be a given. The parents were there for life, now they divorce, and there's, lesbian parents and all kinds of things, There's no stability. And there, of course, is also incest and abuse and neglect and everything else. So the family system has been destabilized. It was deliberately, the extended family was destroyed, and then the nuclear family. So this is a social policy, but you don't know that as a child, and you tend to take on a narcissistically motivated sense of guilt for why people aren't loving each other. Why aren't we all getting along? Why don't you love me? And feeling responsible for it, and therefore feeling like one can never give anything valuable to the other, and because all you have to give is your unhappiness, and your fear. So the offering of love has disappeared. There's desire, but it's more of a business contract. And people even write these premarital contracts, right? Prenuptial agreements, right? So all of these glitches and destruction of human trust in the other, and in promises, and in the stability of people's attitudes toward each other, has I think increased that paranoia to the point where one can very easily shift into a fight or flight mode at the slightest hint of something like that happening. And the ego doesn't have a sufficiently mature buddhi to be able to weigh whether its paranoid projections are real or are just triggered by conditions that bring a past memory of trauma up, etc. And so the ego loses its own trust in its ability to handle itself without transgressing, let's say, and therefore becomes fearful of rapport, even because it can turn so quickly. So is that an answer?
Yeah, there's plenty to process there.
Okay. That's good.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It was an excellent question, and ever more relevant to everyone, I think. Yeah.